Okay, I think we're ready to roll. So as she said, my name is Martha Fiddes. I am the Executive Director over Rehab and Wellness for Christian Care for the corporation. And so I am here to talk to you about the dimensions of wellness. I know many of you have heard me speak before on this topic because I think I've been preaching it the entire 20 years I've been with Christian Care. But today, I'm going to change it up a little bit on the 6 dimensions of wellness during a pandemic because life has changed a little bit. But for many of you, more than any of us currently can relate to a world where there's not a lot of travel and where there might be some social isolation. I know many of you are like I was when you grew up in a farm area where there's not a lot of social interaction. So we kind of go back to that time of simplicity, and I'm going to talk to you about how to keep yourself uplifted during this difficult time when we're dealing with the COVID pandemic and maybe some of the issues that go along with it. So when we speak of health and wellness are not just the absence of illness, but is an actively sought practice. We want to be well. When someone says, "How are you doing?" and you say, "Well, I'm doing well." What does that mean? It doesn't mean that, I'm not sick. It means that in all of the different areas of my life, I feel pretty good. And we're going to talk about the 6 dimensions. Those 6 dimensions of wellness include physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, social, and vocational. And so I'm going to go through each one of those areas and just review what that means. First, with physical wellness, we all feel like we know what we're supposed to do. And the fact is that people do know what they're supposed to do. It's just that many of us don't want to. So the first thing to talk about is diet. We serve balanced meals in all of our different communities. So having balanced meals shouldn't be too difficult to find in this day and age. Also, when you're in your apartment, try not to snack on things that are high in salt or high in fat. Have some fresh fruits and vegetables. But also, as you can see my little pink bottle up here, be sure you're drinking lots of water because it's important to stay hydrated. So how do we stay physically fit when you're primarily spending all your time in the apartment? First thing, if you're watching TV, as you know, in most shows, there's more commercials than there is actual television show. So during the commercial time, you can use that time to your benefit. So I'm going to show you a couple of exercises you can do just while you're watching TV. One of the most important muscles in the body are the quadriceps in the front of the lower legs. They're the biggest muscles and the strongest muscles, and when they get weak, it's difficult to do standing, walking, and all of the activities and balance. So during that commercial break, scoot forward in your chair. If you have armrests on your chair, you can use those, but better to try not using them or only using one. So when you're working on this, I call this commercial squats. So we're going to put our hands on the knees. If you can do it without the armrests, shoulders forward, nose over toes, push up and stand up, and sit down slow. Stand up, sit down slow. So try that just during several commercials and notice the next day how your legs feel. You'll feel differently. Also, you can exercise the ankles by just keeping your feet on the floor and lifting the toes up, then lifting the heels up. Turn your toes out to the side, lift the toes up, pick up the heels. Turn your toes in, like you're sitting pigeon-toed, and pick up the toes and pick up the heels. That will exercise every single muscle in the lower leg. And many of you may not know that the ankle is the most important joint in preventing falls. If you try standing on one leg, you'll feel that ankle wobble as the lower leg starts to gain control. So it's important to keep those muscles down in your legs strong. Now, if you want to keep your arms strong and you have arms on your chair, try not to use your legs and just push up and lower down and push up and lower down. We call those chair push-ups. So each of those things can help you maintain some level of fitness while you're in your room. Of course, it's also important to walk in place. If you have a walker or you have a kitchen counter, just hold on to it and lift alternate knees. So you're just walking in place. And there's no reason why you can't walk in your hallway, put your mask on, maintain social distances, but get out and move a little bit. That's perfectly okay. Those are just some simple exercises to do when you're stuck in your room. It's important to set aside 30 minutes per day of moderate exercise, according to the American Heart Association. And so that doesn't mean that you have to get all 30 minutes all at one time. You can do 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes throughout the day. That's why the commercial squats are a great exercise, because you can do those periodically throughout the day. Now, the second dimension of wellness that we don't often think about is intellectual wellness. I remember when I first got out of med school as a physical therapist, I started practicing and I thought, man, is this all there is? I'm just walking people around and doing exercise, and I decided it was important to learn something new every day. That's a piece of I learned early on about myself, is that I'm horribly bored if I'm not learning something. So typically physical therapists work with hip fractures. Back when I got out of PT school, there weren't a lot of knee and hip replacements yet. And it was really important, if you had any kind of knee injury, to get the motion back in the knee, because we didn't have arthroscopic surgery. Now, I didn't start practicing in the early 1900s, but the fact is that a lot of that has taken place in the last 10 to 15 years. So anyway, what I learned was that I needed to study up. So I started reviewing every surgery, and I was blessed that I worked in an office with 3 orthopedic surgeons who would let me come and watch their surgeries. So I would learn exactly how the surgeries were done, and then I knew how to do the best rehab for each one. And that was how I started with my practice of learning something new every day. I called it my aha moment. Well, during this time, particularly during this time, it's important to learn something new every day. You can watch YouTube if you have a particular interest. You can learn how to do anything on YouTube. I completely remodeled my laundry room over the last week, and I just watched YouTube. Now, I have some experience in remodeling, so I didn't start from no knowledge at all. But you can look at those things online. You can watch the History Channel. Watch National Geographic. Sometimes on the computer, you can take tours of different museums or galleries. You don't have to necessarily physically go there. And also remember to have something you do just for yourself that you'd like to learn about. If you, I know through the years I've looked at the different things that our residents here like to do. One man collects knives, you know I'm talking about. Many people paint and draw. So we have lots of crafts and things you can learn to do. That's intellectual wellness. When we talk about emotional wellness is that part of you that knows when you've had enough, when you've just had enough and it's time to back up and give yourself a break. And I think many of us right now, during this pandemic, we're noticing that things have changed a little bit out there in the world. There's less traffic, there's much less pollution, there's less noise pollution. I can remember living in South Arlington, where I live now, where I could sit on my back porch and in 5 minutes at least 10 planes would go overhead. Not anymore. It's quiet. Things are different. The world is taking a break. It's time for us to take a little break too. But many times when you have too much time on your hands, your mind can get to wondering, and we can have lots of different thoughts that cause us stress. Now, stress is a good thing. We like to put stress on the bones of the body to maintain calcium and prevent bone loss. A little bit of stress is very good. But a lot of stress, when it surpasses your ability to handle it, that's excessive. And that's when we have different problems like immune responses and decreased immunity, high blood pressure, high blood sugar. All those things are a response to stress. If you think about the way the body is designed, there are two primary nervous systems in the body. One is the autonomic nervous system, and it's often referred to as the fight or flight system. And so often that autonomic nervous system is the thing that helps us run away from people that are chasing us or react to disasters. But remember that you don't want to be reacting to disasters 24 hours a day. There's no huge disaster out there that we need to be reacting to. But when the body gets into a continuous loop of action, reaction, it develops stress. It develops a stress loop that starts to affect the internal systems in the body. Now, the opposite nervous system is called the parasympathetic nervous system. There won't be a test, and you don't have to know the names of our nervous systems, but remember that the one with the long name is all about calm. That's the rest and digest nervous system. That's the one that allows your body to just relax and take it easy. We can turn on the parasympathetic nervous system quite easily just through breathing. So take a moment and sit in a relaxing posture. And we're going to breathe in for 2 counts, and then we'll exhale for 4. So as you breathe in through your nose, and then exhale like you're blowing out of a straw, or you can just keep your mouth closed and breathe out of your nose. A lot of people with allergies this time of the year are not going to want to breathe out of their nose. Okay, so here we go. We're going to breathe in for 2 counts. 1, 2. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale 2. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now just notice how you feel after just a few breaths of going in quickly and out slowly. It calms everything down. makes you relax, and decreases stress. It's one of the primary reasons for mind-body exercise that I'll show you a little bit later, Qigong or Tai Chi. The purpose of many practices like yoga, where you control your breathing and thereby control the action of the parasympathetic nervous system in the body. And it relaxes and calms everyone down. Oftentimes, you may catch yourself repeating negative thoughts in your mind. I think almost all people do that, where you sort of intellectually you just check out intellectually, and you find yourself, if you stop, you'll be thinking something negative. So to use a statement from one of my favorite comedians, Bob Newhart, so he says, just stop it. If you hear something negative, or you're saying something negative to yourself, stop it. Back off, take a deep breath, give yourself a break, and move on to do something positive. So decreasing stress and also developing some emotional resilience. Resilience, if you have resilient carpet, that means that it takes wear and tear. You can walk on it a lot, it doesn't wear down. Resilient shoes, resilient furniture. Be a resilient you, where things just roll right off of you and you go with the flow. That's what we need in times where there's stress and anxiety all around you. Be the calm water that people see and just relax and flow with it. And it makes life so much easier. If you think of your life span as a big long string, think of it now when you have high peaks and low peaks. That span shrinks because you're going up, down, up, down, up, down. That long string now becomes shorter. Relax and smooth it out, and things go much more easily. That's why meditation, calming music, and laughter are so important for emotional resilience. Find something funny. Mostly it's older movies and older sitcoms. Most of the sitcoms that are on these days are really not all that funny. They're usually just making fun of someone. But watch something that you really think is funny and get several great belly laughs a day. Now, social wellness. This is something that we really need to consider in times of a pandemic where people are encouraged to not get out and go places. But if you grew up on a farm, you're accustomed to social isolation. There weren't very many people around. There were pets and animals. Even if you think of your time in the 40s and the 50s, where there weren't a lot of cars. There were cars, but you didn't go very many places. I remember when I was growing up in the 60s, there just wasn't that much activity where you got in the car and went someplace. It was mostly in your neighborhood. Well, guess what? You still live in a neighborhood. And there's nothing to stop you from opening your door and talking to the neighbor across the hall. There's nothing to stop you from putting your face mask on and keeping your distance, but getting out and about. So that's social wellness. We need other people. Here at Lakewood Village, we're blessed to have balconies. And many people have balconies. Go sit on your balcony. Or just go sit outside and watch. Just watch things. I can remember when I was growing up, my mother and I'd just go sit, Easter Sunday was the big day. And people, I'm sure nobody noticed us, but these days it'd be considered kind of weird to park in front of the church and watch the people go in. But we would. We'd sit there and watch the outfits and, oh, look at that hat, look at her shoes. There's a lot to be gained by people watching. And even if you watch out of your window, if you watch out of your door, you're still getting social interaction. My dad lived here at Lakewood for 9 years. He lived in independent living, North Wing, West Wing, assisted living, finally in the skilled nursing facility when we had one, and Hubert Ellison never closed his door. His door was always open, and people would walk by and stop and talk to him. So you can have that kind of openness around right now. Guess what? Crime and people coming into the facility, we have the best security we've ever had on our campuses. We also have the best infection control we've ever had in our buildings. If you think about the positive benefits of what's happened with this pandemic, you can see where there are good things, there are bad things, but there's good things that have resulted from that. Most of all, with social wellness, identify 5 people you can talk to. You can talk on the phone. You can talk on FaceTime. You can do Skype. You can do Zoom meetings. My daughter had her 28th birthday, sorry, Katie, last week, and we had a Zoom birthday party. So I sent bundt cakes to everybody's house, and we all met on the computer, and we had a birthday party. There's a lot of creative things you can do if you just think about it and maintain that social action. Now, my favorite, I think, part of wellness is to talk about the spiritual wellness. Spiritual wellness is not something that you lose, and in fact, spiritual wellness is something we retain. Those things that have affected our spirits are retained long into stages of Alzheimer's. I had a patient several years ago. When we do our wellness assessments, we assess all 6 dimensions of wellness. And I was doing the wellness assessment on this lady in fairly advanced stages of dementia. And her daughter was there. And I got to the spiritual wellness question, and I said, is there anything that you can think of in your lifetime that just blew you away? That when you saw it or experienced it, you knew that there was something beyond you, that there was a purpose in the world, there was a God in heaven. Tell me what that might have been. And she never missed a beat. She said, the Alps. And I looked at her daughter, and her daughter had burst into tears. She said, I had no idea she remembered going there. But let me tell you this, when things affect your spirit, church music, when you're singing and it's embedded in your spirit, or great food, or the smell of popcorn, but you can think of food that just gets you in a spot that's not your brain and it's not your body, it's your spirit.
You cut out right when the lady said what she said, and I want to hear it. I'm listening to it in my office.
Yes?
So what did she say when you said, is there anything fantastic that has ever happened to you?
And it was the Alps.
Okay,
Alps.
okay, we did not hear it out and about.
Okay.
So I'm making sure that
But
it's
you heard the rest of the story.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Just making sure everybody heard what they need to hear.
Yeah, I think you leaned against the podium and the mic.
The Alps. Okay, so, but as I was saying, that's not your brain, it's not your body, it's your soul, it's your spirit. That's where I think the term soul music, soul food comes from. It hits a spot that is so central to your being that you feel it, you taste it, you smell it. It's just the whole thing. And if you think about, let's call it barbecued ribs, if you think about those, On down the line, you haven't had it for 60 years, you can still smell it, you can still taste it, you still know what it was. If you have a certain kind of music that just gets you, for some people it's Elvis. For me, it's gospel music because my grandmother raised me on that. It's also Ray Charles, Brooke Benton. Some of that music that just gets you right where it's your soul. Our faith is very often that kind of feeling. But your spiritual wellness doesn't necessarily have to be religious, but very often it is for most of us. So that spiritual wellness is something you can find. You don't have to go searching for it. It's there with you. And so we can still experience that right now. Open your windows and smell the fresh air because it's fresher than it's been in probably 30 years around here. Vocational wellness. Vocational wellness is what gets you up in the morning. It's the thing that you look forward to. Many of us have something that is most important, more important than anything else. For me, being a caregiver, being able to provide care. But oftentimes it can be other things. And in this time of pandemic, well, let's think about what you can do to experience vocational wellness. If you're crafty or you sew, boy, could we use some people to make masks. And if you need material, we can sure help you donate old clothes to give you material. We don't have to go out and buy new material. We can all clean out our closets and come up with material to help you make some masks. If you crochet or you knit, we could sure use some extenders for those masks. You know, those masks get really, really uncomfortable behind the ears. And if you crochet, it's very, very simple to just make a long chain and a couple of layers and then put some buttons on it, and you could loop those right through the ear holes and make extenders so the masks don't have to make your ears sore. You can work on Life Bio, write your own memory book. Many, many, many years ago, I got a book from UT Lubbock for my dad when he still lived in Prescott, Arizona, and sent it to him and told him that was his task. He was going to create that book. And it took him about 10 years. But what we have now is a bound book of all of his memories. And that's what Life Bio does for you. And we have that in all of our communities. And you can do that any way you want to. Your activity directors will help you with that. Another thing you can do is be a pen pal to a student who's stuck at home. There are so many little kids in the community that are having to stay home, and it's a sad fact that there's more child abuse in our communities right now than there's ever been because so many parents are having to stay home all day as well. Be the light in a little kid's day by writing them a letter. We have several schools that will take letters and pass them on to their students. It's a great way. You don't have to have any special talent for that. And the other thing is raise a plant. If you would like to have a small plant for your apartment, I'm sure we can get some places to donate us some small plants. I have got my fair share of plants at home. I can give you cuttings. But the thing is grow a plant. Have something to look after. Now, as far as taking care of yourself, I'm going to give you a few simple exercises that we can do because as we discuss pandemics and stress and how that affects your memory and your brain, the research has shown that there are 4 primary areas to maintain positive cognitive function. Okay, one is cognitive training. That's your typical list making and, remembering names and things like that. Cognitive exercises, brain teasers, puzzles, practice it, use it, don't lose it. The third, sometimes biofeedback can be helpful. And number 4 is meditation. Now, why does meditation help your cognitive function? Meditation serves to move the brain out of its regular state and into a more relaxed form of working. If you think that your brain rests at night, you're sadly mistaken. At night is the time that your brain is reorganizing its data. So that's why you have crazy dreams that are going here, there, and everywhere. But the IT people and computer specialists will tell you when you've got a computer problem, what's the first thing they say? Restart it. Well, meditation is the way we restart this brain. And moving it out of its normal function into a state that is a lower level of electromagnetic function, that helps the brain to then reboot when you come back up. It reorganizes your data and makes life much more efficient. So one way that we did that was the breathing. When we move into that parasympathetic, calm, rest and digest movement. But the second part is also some nice, easy movement. So we're going to do some silk reeling. This is a wonderful practice in Qigong and Tai Chi. And if you think about silk reeling, it goes back to Oriental practices where they were making silk. And it's very important not to disturb the webs of the silkworms. So that's why we do things very, very slowly. So you're going to take your left hand and just rest it on your left hand. Take your right hand right at the chest level. Okay, and relax the arm. So we're not reaching, we're just relaxing. And now we're going to reel the silk. So breathe in, out to the side, turn the shoulders. Turn the palm up, exhale, and turn back to the center. Palm down, inhale, and then exhale. Breathe in and out. Inhale and exhale. Breathe in and out. Switch hands. Put your hand on the opposite hip, other hand up, and now breathe in and out. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe in and out. One more time. Exhale. Good. Now bring your hands in front of you like you're holding a beach ball. And I want you to think of blowing up the ball between your hands. So we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose and blow the ball up. Breathe in. Exhale and blow. Breathe in and blow out. Breathe in and out. Breathe Breathe in and out. Now, very gently, press your hands towards each other. Notice if you feel a pressure between the hands. Breathe in, bring the hands apart. And then breathe out, bring them closer together, and notice if you feel pressure between them. Breathe in. And exhale, back in. And now just relax your hands down. Both of those practices help to decrease anxiety, reduce your stress, improve your lung function, and improve your immune system. And in these times when there is so much need for good health and good wellness, practicing breathing exercises. Here at Lakewood, you have frequent times during the week to do Tai Chi with Scott. You have a lot of different interactions. You have on all of our campuses, we have spiritual wellness with devotionals and special times during the day. The activity directors can help you with your vocational wellness and your life bio and encourage you with your crafts and things we can do to help other people. You can combine all those different dimensions of wellness. If you're making masks and you're learning how and you're doing it with friends, you now have vocational, social, and emotional wellness all wrapped into one. And if you're deep breathing while you're crocheting, well, by gosh, you're physically well too. And if you're drinking your water, you've got it all in the bag. So remember all of the different dimensions of wellness. Realize that just because we might have situations going on that are outside of our walls and not at all within our control, there's no reason for us to try to control them. Take care of yourself. And by all means, do the most important thing, and that is to laugh. Find something funny every day that you can laugh at. I hope this has been a good opportunity for you to learn about the dimensions of wellness. And if I can be of any assistance, please let me know. Again, my name is Martha, and I think most of your campuses can put you in touch with me. Thank you so much for your kind attention, and a special thank you to Linda Abel, who has recorded this for us. Thanks so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hopefully it worked, right?
Yeah, we hope it worked.